Let's turn our eye to business, and who better to join us than Kate Moody? Good evening to you.
Hi, Mark.
The US and France have called a truce over a digital tax plan. Tell us more.
Absolutely. This is the plan that sparked those threats of tariffs on champagne that sent shockwaves throughout the country. This truce has been in the works since at least Sunday when Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron spoke on the phone. The real breakthrough, though, coming this Wednesday at the World Economic Forum as the country's finance ministers formally agreed to hold fire and recommit to negotiations on an international framework. France 24's Stephen Carroll reports from Davos.
It's really an agreement to just delay to allow time for talks, but there's some really crucial elements of this. First of all, the digital tax does remain in place in France. What the French government is doing is simply delaying the payments that will be made by those tech firms. The first of them would have been due in April of this year. That money now will not be taken from those companies or won't be asked for from those companies, but will still remain pending and will remain pending until the end of 2020. That was the timeline given by Bruno Le Maire, as they're hoping to have an international deal done by the end of the year. In return, the US has agreed to suspend any sanctions against France, those threatened tariffs on French imports into the United States, while those discussions happen. And interestingly, and I suppose perhaps most significantly from a broader point of view, they have agreed to proceed with negotiations at the OECD, the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. They've come up with a global plan to tackle taxing these digital giants, and it's through the OECD that the US and France are going to engage. The details of that engagement, though, the base of work, as it was described by French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire, will be decided at a meeting tomorrow between Bruno Le Maire, the French Finance Minister, Steven Mnuchin, the US Treasury Secretary, and the head of the OECD, Angel Gurria. Now, they're going to be talking about, I suppose, the framework for their discussions, but Bruno Le Maire felt that this was an agreement, a framework they had agreed that had pushed this deadline back to the end of 2020 on a basis that they will agree a tax not only on digital giants, but also a minimum global rate of tax for companies. That's something that's integral to this deal, according to Bruno Le Maire. The OECD would see it the same way. The United States had wanted to make the tech part of this optional, but they now seem to be interested in coming to the table at least and discussing the OECD plan. That plan, if agreed, would sign up 135 countries to this new international tax agreement, overhauling rules that have been in place for nearly 100 years and would totally really change the way that companies pay tax around the world.
And Stephen will be hosting a debate on that very topic in Davos on Thursday. That'll be featured at 7:10 Paris time. It'll be a debate including the likes of Bruno Le Maire and Angel Gurria of the OECD. Stephen coming back for more from Davos on Thursday. Let's check in on the day's trading action. Now, the major European indices closed lower. We saw losses between a third and just over half a percentage point earlier in the session. The DAX hit a new record high as a survey showed a rebound in German consumer sentiment. A fairly muted close on Wall Street despite earlier fresh records for the Nasdaq and S&P 500. We saw IBM shares up 3.4% on the close on strong quarterly earnings and upbeat forward guidance. Boeing shares dropped as much as 4%. Cutting those losses in half by the close, as the new CEO said he hoped to resume production of the 737 MAX model even before it returns to service. That clearance unlikely now until June or July at the earliest. The British Parliament has given the final green light to the government's Brexit bill, bringing the country one step closer to leaving the European Union on January 31st. Retailers across the country hope they'll finally see some clarity about their future. Even the toy industry has fallen victim to the Brexit blues. James Wilson has the story.
British children were bought €3.8 billion worth of toys last year. It's the largest market in the whole of Europe, but last year sales dropped by 6%. 2019 was the worst year for British retailers since records began in 1995, with total sales falling by 0.1% nationwide. At the 2020 Toy Fair in London, many are keen to blame Brexit.
I'd like to say that we will see an increase. I think we are being realistic. We have a deadline again coming up next week when it comes to Brexit. That will bring some decision. So that helps us plan as an industry.
While many toys, such as bears and dolls, will be recognisable to people who were children 10, 20, even 100 years ago, others are decidedly more modern. This company sells mindful toys that it says can help children behave better.
If you can give a child the gift of mindfulness before war, they are, you know, beaten down by life, and they have that gift for the rest of their lives. You know, it's incredible.
In total, 260 exhibitors have taken part in this year's Toy Fair, showing off some 5,000 new products to parents, children and industry insiders.
That's all for now, Mark.
Kate, thank you very much indeed. Great to see you. Kate with all the business there.
When laughter is replaced by tears, when words are replaced by silence,
Chaque fois que je raconte ça, ça me travaille beaucoup.
when peace is replaced by war,
Il y a eu des obus qui passaient partout.
people are demanding justice.
Les faits de guerre ont été amnistiés et c'est un argument de droit qui est imparable.
On ne parle pas de génocide comme si nous avions droit à la mort et pourtant nous aussi on doit vivre.
Reporters Plus examines the wars that destroyed the Congo between 1996 and 2003 on France 24 and France24.com.